Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is Reverend Wendy Hamilton. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing? Hello, everybody.
I am doing great. It is such a pleasure
Good.
to have you here. How are you?
You know what? It's Monday. I'm alive. I woke up this morning. I'm feeling really good. I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Yes, I love that. We should all be grateful. Now, let's start this out with just having you introduce yourself to our viewers for those of them who don't know you.
Sure, fantastic. Well, my name is Reverend Wendy Hamilton. I am currently running for DC Delegate to the U.S. Congress in 2022. I am a great Ward 8 resident, stand up Ward 8. Uh, I'm a Howard University graduate two
Oh,
times. I got my
HU.
You know. Okay, all right, all
Okay.
right.
I love that. I love
So
that.
nice. I went
Welcome.
twice because I got my bachelor's and I went to seminary at Howard School of Divinity.
Howard School
So
of Divinity. Yes.
yes, so I am a double bison. I was a previous pastor of Open Door Metropolitan Community Church, which is just outside of Silver Spring. Unfortunately, it was a small church and we closed because of the pandemic and attendance being low. A lot of churches are struggling in that
Yeah.
area. So I'm not currently pastoring. I'm a member of Metropolitan Community Church here in Washington, D.C., over near the convention center. And my day job, I work in D.C. public schools as a middle school counselor for families and truant students, which is also ministry, by the way. I just want to put that in there because, listen, I may not be able to preach, but some of the same skill sets that I use
It's coming. Yes.
come right in handy. Yes.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. So tell me, Reverend, why this year and why for this position at this time, running for US Congress as a DC delegate? Talk to me about that and getting into this race.
Well, I think one of the most important words that you just emphasized is time. And sometimes there's sort of a divine timing when you know that there's a moment that's calling for people to step into that particular moment. And I felt like this was one of those times. As I watched the Trump administration desecrate our civil rights and human rights and turn the clock backwards, I was really nervous that man was going to get back in. And I was sitting there in 2020 like, I'm not going to make it. We're not going to make it, and I'm praying, like, what are some steps that I can take? How can I help? Because if he gets back in, I'm gonna have to move to Belize, and I don't want to do that. So
not Belize.
So it became, do I tuck tail and run, or do I stand up and fight? And I've always been a fighter. I've always been one who is cut in the cloth of social justice advocacy, right? Reverend William Barber, folks like, of course, Dr. Martin Luther King, those that have been in the church but understand that aspect of faith, which calls on us to look out for the least of these and to stand up for the oppressed and the widows. And we certainly have many of those represented here in Washington, D.C. And so I love this city. I prayed about it. It was time, and I filed a year ago for the DC delegate role in 2022. I am so excited that it's almost here, and that's a part of what my motivation is to serve. I'm a servant leader. I believe that these roles call for that. I believe it's time for a moral renaissance on Capitol Hill. Amen.
So okay. So tell me, what are the issues that really concern you, that really are at the top of your mind if elected to this role?
Well, of course, I couldn't run for the role and not say statehood, right? So, of course, DC statehood is at the top of that because that's a human rights issue. You are disenfranchising 700,000 residents of this city who pay taxes, more taxes than 23 other states, federal income tax. We have more population than Wyoming and Vermont, and we have the biggest plurality of Black voters in the city that you are endeavoring to deny power to. That's a human rights issue. So of course, statehood is number one in terms of my priorities. But even beyond that, I'm also finding, even as I talk to residents, that statehood is definitely something we want to pursue. But while we're in the midst of doing that, what are some other tangible issues that impact DC residents that we can be working on at the same time? So universal basic income, UBI, if you're familiar with that, which is a recurring monthly cash payment, that is like number 1.5 on my policy platform, because I believe that DC voters could use some additional assistance. I think that we saw with the cash stimulus payments that came out from the government, it is possible for them to generate checks. We have the money. We bailed out banks. Let's bail out the people. So, UBI is a big policy of mine. Of course, some education reform with me working in education. As I mentioned, I want to bring tech and vocational training back. All kids aren't cut out to go to college, and that's okay. But they still have gifts and they still have talents that can be cultivated. So those are just a couple of things that I'd like to look into from a federal perspective in this role.
That's so important. That is so important. For the viewers are wondering, why are you the best choice? Why are you the best choice?
So I'm the best choice because I have a heart to serve people and not interests. And I think that when you get into office, also, I'm not a politician, right? I'm a mama. I'm a minister. I've been through what my residents have been through. I love the city, but I can connect with them. I'm real. What you see here is what you will see in and on Capitol Hill. I'll remain connected. I won't forget about where I came from, just in terms of the steps that I need to take and what needs to be done to meet the needs of our DC residents. So for me, it's just really important that a real one, you understand what I'm saying? Somebody that you can relate to and say, oh, she was a single mother just like me. Oh, she's been homeless at some point just like me. So maybe she can relate to me on a level that some other politicians can't. And that can really help me feel like I am actually being authentically represented.
Certainly. And when does early voting begin? And when is election date? So everyone's aware and on top of that.
So the good thing is, we have early voting, and the primary itself is June 21st, 2022. So I need y'all to write that down, June 21st. But we have early voting from June 10th to June 17th. So there's that whole 1-week window where folks can vote early at voting centers. And another thing that is probably going to be a possibility this time is the mail-in voting. During the pandemic, everyone was mailed a ballot automatically. Prior to that, you had to request an absentee ballot if you wanted it mailed. But the pandemic made us change a few things around. And one of the council members, Councilmember Allen from Ward 6, has proposed that we make that automatic ballot permanent and put some more drop boxes around the city like we did, and some more voting centers to make it more easier for as many people to vote as possible. We saw a large uptick in turnout with those automatic ballots. So there's a possibility that we'll have that again for the primary. So we'll be spending a lot of time reminding people, get that ballot in. There's this drop box right down the street, but June 10th through the 17th, early voting. June 21st is the primary.
Certainly. And for all the viewers watching, if you want to make sure that you are ready to vote, you can text Team Racine to 40649. That's courtesy of headcount.org. Check your status and register to vote before those deadlines arrive. So, Wendy, if anyone wants to, learn more about you, keep up with what you're doing, donate to your campaign, provide some support, anything like that, how are they able to do that?
So find me at Rev Wendy for Congress. RevWendyForCongress.com is my website, but we also are on all social media. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. They got me dancing on TikTok. Lord,
oh, wow.
But you know what? Young people have seen me on TikTok, so that's a blessing,
Yes.
But we are on all forms of social media. You can follow me, you can sign up to volunteer. We got some big plans for January as we start our Get Out the Vote strategy. I'd love to have you come along and help us on our journey to Congress. And I just appreciate this opportunity. Oh, Twitter. Now, I got a whole bunch of folks follow me on Twitter. So please come on over there and join that family, because I post my little dancing things on there too, you know. But
Yes.
any of the social media are ways to get in touch with our campaign.
Certainly. And to our viewers, that's at Rev Wendy 3 on Twitter and at Rev Wendy for Congress on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Rev Wendy, thank you so much for being here with me today. Viewers, those links will be in the description below, so you'll be able to get that and be able to connect with Rev Wendy whenever you want.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for the service that you do, that you provide your platform. You don't have to do that, and you do that. That is a service. Thank you for being willing to do that, to use your gifts to serve others. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And to our viewers, please follow us on social media at Team Racine. And most of all, thank you for watching. Bye.